Welcome back, friends, to the Performance Mindset Show. I'm your host, Amy Calandrino, CEO of Beyond Commercial and author of the book From Perfect to Real. This show is all about leveling up in business, real estate, leadership, and life by shifting how you think, grow, and lead. Each week, I bring you real conversations with top performers and mindset experts who are building big lives on their own terms. If you're ready to ditch perfection, trust your path, and grow with intention, you're in the right place. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so you can keep other episodes dropping into your place that you listen to all your podcasts. So I have with me today Dr. Lucky, is it Meisenheimer?
Meisenheimer, yeah.
I said it. And he's here in Orlando. He is a skincare dermatologist doctor, does a lot of surgery as well, but has been hosting what's called the Lucky's Lake Swim since 1989. I found out he's also a yo-yo enthusiast and still holds the Guinness Book of World Records for that too.
For the largest yo-yo collection, yes.
That's incredible, and has a lot of different hobbies, but most notably, like I said, if you're coming to Orlando and you're into swimming, you should come to his swim, which is Monday through Friday, 6:30 or 6:45? 6:30 a.m. Not early, not late.
And on Saturday at 7:45 a.m.
Yeah. So did I miss anything in my introduction?
No, well, I'm actually a Mohs surgeon. It's a subspecialty of
Mohs
dermatology.
surgeon. Okay.
I don't do general dermatology that much. I'm pretty much just a skin cancer surgeon.
Yeah, I did see that you only do if you had a history of skin cancer or you have skin cancer that you see. You're not like the normal, go in for you've built that reputation and, that's your specialty.
Yeah, just I used to do a lot of general dermatology in my earlier years, but the last 10 to 15 years, it's been pretty much just switched over to all surgical.
Well, if you're really good at it, then, no sense in doing all of the things. And
Right.
What I loved about your website,
you
though, too, you can't.
Yeah, I like general dermatology, and I still do general dermatology on patients that have been older patients of mine. But new patients, we just are focused on their skin cancers.
Yeah. And then you have been doing that now almost 40 years or 40?
Almost 40 years. Yep. Almost 40 years. It goes by quick.
So those of you who haven't been to Orlando, he is near Restaurant Row, Dr. Phillips, all the things, all that I wasn't all there when you started there, was it?
Yep. My dad actually, when we drove around the area when I was setting up my practice, he says, "Nobody's here. Are you sure you want to set up your practice here? Are you going to have any patients?" And I said, "Trust me, this is going to grow."
Was your family originally from Orlando or
No.
just decided to come to Orlando?
I decided to come to Orlando because of the Aquatic Center, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that part of it. Okay. And I've been to the Aquatic Center before. It's across I-4 from you.
The Rosen Aquatic Center, yes.
Yeah.
Used to be the Central Florida YMCA Aquatic Center. Now it's the Rosen Aquatic Center.
Okay. Do you have to have a special membership for that or since it's not part of the YMCA anymore? Or?
Just, it'd be like a health club, except we focus on aquatics. So they have swimming teams, underwater hockey, which I on the Orlando's team plays there. We have water polo, diving, synchronized swimming. All the Olympic sports are there.
When did you get into your love of aquatics and swimming? When did that happen?
Well, I've been a competitive swimmer all my life. So, I started in, country club swimming, if you will, and then high school swimming, swam in college on scholarship, and continued to swim afterwards as a master's competition and open water swimming. So my life, swimming is my pillar. It's the thing I always fall back on.
So what I find so interesting is, when did you come up with the idea to invite people to your house to go swimming across the lake? And how did it really kind of build up on from there? Because I think it's so cool, and I've had so many friends that have done tries and are into swimming and have done it, and yeah.
Well, it kind of goes back to what I call a water debt. I back in the days, many people helped me out. I mean, there were a lot of times where it was tough to get in to swim. People would come in, open up their pools for me to let me swim on holidays and things like that. And I remember one summer I would go out and a guy ostensibly said he was going to come out and swim with me, but he ended up sitting in an easy chair and sleeping while I was swimming at 6:30 in the morning just so I could train. So a lot of people have helped me along the way, and I felt that is a debt that I need to repay to society, if you will, for giving me those opportunities when I was younger. So I was coaching the Masters swimming team here in Orlando, and I had just moved into the house, and I bought the house so I could swim the lake. And I thought, well, I'm going to swim the lake. I might as well invite my friends. And let's just say one thing led to another, and now we've had literally tens of thousands of people will come and swim the lake. We have over 80 countries represented. We've had, professional athletes. We've had Olympic gold medalists. Even the lady that came down from the space station that had been up there for 9 months, she's even swam the lake. So I know it's just an amazing community that has evolved from that. And just from me starting out by letting folks come and swim the lake. And of course, then having a wonderful wife that allows me to let tens of thousands of people come and swim over the years. And it's now it was given a status of historical event for Central Florida by the Central Florida Historical Society. So we've gotten some nice little honors, and it's spawned other great things too. We have a 501c3 corporation called the Lake Cane Restoration Society, which works to preserve 3 close by Central Florida lakes. And then we always have these charity events each year where we've done Swim for Inclusion for Special Olympics. We used to do the Frogman swim for the Navy SEAL Foundation, but that's now kind of passed. We have a swim competition called the Golden Mile for the Lake Cane Restoration Society. We do a zombie swim for the Learn to Swim program. It was through Step Into Swim. My wife and I are big supporters of Step Into Swim, which allows underprivileged children to get an opportunity to learn to swim. And they've had hundreds of kids go through the program now at the Rosen Aquatic Center. So for the only paid events where you have to, pay something, all that money goes to charity. Otherwise, the daily swim has been free, and will always be free as long as I'm operating it.
Wow. That's so cool, the impact that you've been able to have by just like someone helping you, and then you decide to then, pay it forward because you're like, I have this lake anyways. So it's good. And, all my friends now are all I've met through the lake swim. You just meet all these wonderful people, and there are so many connections made, and we've had people meet here and end up getting married and their engagement, doing their proposal. It's crazy stuff that goes on, but it's fun. You look back on life and you say, hey, we had a lot of fun. What's the general composition of is it regulars, and then you have people that are visiting from other countries, and it just kind of varies?
Well, yeah, throughout the years, it varies. Right now we have, this morning we had maybe a dozen people come out and swim. In the summers, we can easily break 200 people if we have a couple teams show up. Usually on a Saturday, we're always over 100 people. And yes, we have our regulars that are here that are the hardcore that people live locally. But then we have teams that will come maybe once a month from other cities. We have them come up from Miami, down from the villages. So they'll get together. They make it kind of a team fun function. And a lot of triathlon groups will come here. And then we have club teams, swimming teams that will come out once or twice a year as a kind of a club, building session. So it's all fun and everybody has a great time, and you get swagged for doing the swim. When you do it for the first time, you get a patch and a bumper sticker, and you get to sign the back wall of my house. Actually, not anymore. The back wall is filled. The ceiling is filled. The side wall is filled. Now they're signing in the pump room. even riding small with over 10,000 people, it fills up.
I saw videos of that online. I was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. So,
and I like to think that it's special because there are few things in the world that are like this, because we don't care how rich people are, how poor they are. We don't care what the color of their skin is, what their religious affiliation is, what their political affiliation. The one uniting thing is that we all love to swim. And somehow we make that all work together here. And so we have had homeless people swim. We've had billionaires swim. We've had all different religions here swim, all different skin types swim, a ton of Special Olympians swim. Matter of fact, I will say, as far as Special Olympians go, what's near and dear to my heart, I coached Special Olympics here at the Rosen Aquatic Center for 25 years. And many years ago, it's been over 20 now, I said, hey, some of my athletes are capable of swimming this lake, so let's take them out. And everybody said, you're crazy, that's crazy, taking a Special Olympian out, doing an open water swim. But you could see that they needed to be challenged too. And sure enough, they challenged. And now we've got probably over 40 Special Olympic athletes' name on the wall. And it really brought open water swimming into Special Olympics. Now it's considered part of Special Olympics. And 2 years ago, when they were hosting the National Games here in Orlando, they brought in 5,000 Special Olympians from all over the country to do all kinds of different sporting activities. They held the open water swim for the first time as part of their program. And they held it here at Lucky's Lake Swim. So it's like being a part of history. And so we've had some pretty amazing things happen over the years.
Well, I think that, having that inclusivity and that belief, I think, being able to do something starts with the belief within yourself and you're believing in them. What did you do to also help them to believe that they could do it? And what are the steps to then getting and shaping that mindset?
Well, when I started coaching, because I was already a certified level 5 coach.
Yeah.
When I started coaching the Special Olympic athletes, and the coaches that came in and joined me were all high level coaches. They had coached, I think we added up the number of years of coaching together, and it was close to 100 years of coaching between the three of us. And our philosophy was that we treated the Special Olympic athletes just like we would any other swimmer. We tried not to baby them, if you will, because that had many years ago, 25 years ago, that was the tendency to make it easy for them. Matter of fact, in the state meet, the longest race we had was, I believe, the 100 freestyle. And throughout us putting and demanding to have other events, they eventually added really long events like the 400 IM and the mile. And that was because of our athletes. And we ran our swim practice like a swim practice. Now we had basically two. We had kind of I would call it a stroke technique group, where they would work on just stroke techniques. These were the ones that couldn't really make it through a full practice. And then we would go with a regular swim practice, and we treated them just like regular swimmers. And they are just like regular swimmers. And that's why we were able to do, I think, so much. And now a lot of programs are emulating what we do and just saying, yeah, we're a Special Olympic swim team, and we're doing sets, we're doing sprints, we're doing dry land exercises. We treat them just like. And so it wasn't a far stretch to introduce them to open water swimming.
Wow. And then just to think that it was just 100 yards was like the longest race. I mean,
well, going back to when they introduced the very first Special Olympics. This was in Chicago in '68. They built a pool in the Wrigley, I think, is it Wrigley Stadium that's there? Anyway, so the pool was like 2.5 feet deep because they were afraid they were going to drown. And they lined the walls of the pool every 3 feet with lifeguards because nobody had ever really done anything like that. They were so scared of what might happen. And I have video of it, and some of the kids couldn't even swim that. And they swam, I think their longest race was also 100 yards, but almost all of them just did 50, which was over and back a 25-yard pool.
Right.
And some of them were walking part of the way. So we've come a long way from that and putting them out in a lake and having them swim a kilometer from a 50-yard, 2.5-foot deep pool.
Wow. And then I think not only were you changing the mindset of the individual swimmers, but then, you were able to effectuate change of the overall organization to believe, and then you're able to push boundaries.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's saying, hey, we don't know you don't know what somebody's capable of until you push them and let them try stuff. And it's just like another fun story, Chris Nedick, who is the triathlete. You're shaking your head like you.
Oh, he works out at my gym. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay. Well, let me tell you a little background story on Chris. Chris, when he came out for the first time, he had not started doing he had not done the Ironman yet.
Wow.
I think he was just dabbling maybe in the triathlon competitions. And he signed the wall and he wrote under his name world champion. And his dad said, well, Chris, what are you going to, world champion? What are you going to be a world champion in? He says, Ironman. And he says, okay, let's start training for it. And that's when their training started for the Ironman. And that's kind of cool. And then he went on and became the first person with Down syndrome to complete a full Ironman. And he's done it a couple of times now. And the nice thing is, he wrote a little book, and they have a little page in there showing him, a cartoon character of him, showing him signing the Wall of Fame here at Lucky's Lake Swim. So
you wrote a book too. That's amazing.
Yeah. Chris has got a book out about him.
I like the methodology that he came up with, like always working to be 1% better. And
I like the 1% too.
It just shows you. But I was with my running coach Erica White, and I was training with her the other day, and like we ran into Chris, and so my friend Simone had worked with him some with Special Olympics, but it's great that he's gone on to do all these things. I think he's going to he's doing an ultra marathon this year, or an Ultraman.
Well, there's if you do a double Ironman, that would be crazy, but I don't doubt it. But if anybody can do it, he certainly can do it. They put their mind to it and they do it. And I tell one of the things I've always told all our Special Olympians is, you guys, and I like the fact he's using the 1%. I said, you're a 1%er, because when you're swimming, and you can swim, all of our athletes can swim, hundreds of yards without stopping. I said, only 1% of the world's population can do that. 50% of the world's population can't save themselves if they're 50 feet from shore and they're in the water. They're non-swimmers. Mm-hmm. And the other people, if you put them out 25 yards, you lose another 30 or 40%. And then if you put them out 400 yards, you're going to lose 99% of the people. So what they do, I said, you may not achieve 1% in anything else in your life, and that's fine, but you are 1% swimmers, and that's your pillar to think about. You always have that to go back to. You are a 1% person, and that helps them when they're out getting jobs, and and helps mainstream them in. We really pushed mainstreaming our Special Olympians into masters competition and other competitions, and it's been great for them. Over the years, you can see their personalities changing and feeling not out here, but in here with the rest of us. We'll come in, they'll talk, they'll joke, and it's a very good feeling.
Yeah, and that was going to be one of my questions. What are some of the most rewarding moments? And it's probably some of these moments you've had over the years.
I've had so many. I will tell you, there's one specific thing when we were coaching at Rosen Aquatic Center. I was on deck and we were running through our series of drill sprints where their heat's going off, and I'm kind of, okay, group one, ready up, group two, ready up, and they're going off and they're swimming. And somebody came in and just walked on deck and said, "What swim team's this?" And I said, "Special Olympics." And they just laughed. And they said, "No, really, tell me what group this is." And I looked at them and I realized they really didn't realize. And I said, "No, this is Special Olympics." And they're going, "What, really? No way." And I said, "Yeah, way. It is Special Olympics." And if you looked at them, I realize now that a normal average person just walking in wouldn't have a clue until they see them come out. I'll segue into this little thing. We had one of our girls, it was one of our swims or races, I don't remember what, but she was coming in, and we had a triathlete that was absolutely big guy, probably 6'3", 6'4", absolutely ripped, the 3% triathlon, body fat. And you could see him picking up the pace, trying to catch her, and blah, 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 blah. And they're coming right up, and they get up on the shoulder, and he goes, good job. Good job. He's wiping sweat off of his face because he's sweating through the water. And he looks down and he stands up. Now, she's about 4'6". He takes off her cap and glasses, and she has Down syndrome. And he's looking at her going, "Oh my God, I just got creamed by a 4'6" girl with Down syndrome." And she was beating him the whole way. And you should have seen the expression on his face was priceless. So those are the moments that I live for.
We can all achieve great things. We put our minds.
And, and it was like, and there was that respect, because all of a sudden it's not, this is a person who deserves respect. What they just did was pretty darn good.
I am a big believer. I'm a big fan of Special Olympics. They actually bring it into the schools too. So if there's exceptional education or anything in the schools, I think it's amazing that they brought it into. My son got to participate, and he's just starting. I've been trying to get him to swim, so I'm still figuring that out. He gets such anxiety, and he's like, I can't do it. I'm like, yes, you can do it. So I'm working on it. He's already 5, and so I know that he's just got to find the belief.
Just keep working on it. Just keep working on it. There's a lot of great swim schools around. Sometimes if it's not mom doing it, it makes it a little bit easier too.
Yeah.
So.
And I got to find the right swim school, because it's something that everyone should do. And I think, like you said, what was the name of the organization that you said helps everyone
Step Into Swim?
What's that?
Yeah. Step Into Swim.
Step Into Swim. Yeah, I think that it's so key, because, they could be at some friend's house, and, it could be a very dangerous situation if someone.
Absolutely. I believe it is still the number one killer of children under the age of 14. So you have to really be aware. And we are a water state. There's water everywhere. I think I counted there's 6 places on my property where you could drown, literally. So, we had our kids learn to swim before they could walk. It's real important. And I will say my youngest son, we're walking out on the dock, and he's a toddler. He's probably 2 years old, and he's walking, and there's an end of the dock, which most people respect, but not if you're 2 years old. He walked right off the end of the dock, me and my wife were right there, and she's like, panicked, because, he disappears down below the surface of the water, and there's little bubbles coming up, and she's getting ready to jump in. I said, wait a second, because he had been trained, and all of a sudden you see this body coming up from down below, and the face breaks the surface of the water with this big shit-eating grin on his face, because he knew exactly what he was doing. And he was fine. So, my niece, when she was about 3, and I say this because and these ages are important because at one point, and I think they may have reversed this a little bit, but the American Pediatric Association said you shouldn't give swimming lessons to kids below the age of 4. And both of these, okay, now my niece falls in the water at age 3. Well, they were at a party, my brother and his wife, and a lot of people are there at this house, and she's in a little tutu-like, very fancy dress, and each of them thought she was with the other one. And they both meet up and they go, "Where's Maylin?" And they say, "Oh my God, the pool." And so they run out to the big glass door. Somebody had opened them up, and here she was walking out of the pool, totally drenched, at 3 years old. And somebody had left. First of all, they left the sliding door open, so you weren't expecting that. Each parent thought the other parent was watching her, so you weren't expecting that. And then somebody had left the ball in the pool, which floating, and she was trying to reach the ball and fell in. But she had learned to swim before she could walk, too, and she just swam to the edge of the pool and got out and was perfectly fine. Any other kid that hadn't had that opportunity, that party would have been ruined because they would have been calling 911 and they would have been coding her, and she may or may not have survived.
Right.
So
because it would. It only takes
that
a
enough
minute.
the parents to get their kids learning to swim.
I agree. We are actually. You talked about country club. We actually have a swim team up here. I live in Heathrow now. Great
way to start swimming. Great way to get an introduction to competitive swimming. It's fun. It's not too brutal. You have very limited swim meets. They'll last just a couple of hours. And then if they show that desire to become a competitive swimmer, then it's easy to segue into club swimming. And then we've got great high school swimming here in Central Florida, and then a lot of great programs like water polo and things like that they can get involved with. And if they don't want to go that route, there's synchronized swimming. They've got a synchronized swimming program at the Aquatic Center. They're really agile and fearless and like the water, but they just like to jump in. Well, there's some wonderful diving teams too, and have produced champion divers. Matter of fact, Orlando had an Olympic diver that went to 2 Olympics here. So we're known for producing good divers in Orlando as well.
Wow. I didn't know that. Is the Rosen Center kind of the most premier center that there is in Orlando, or are there any other centers that you can get that kind of diving?
There's a lot of good swim teams in Orlando. Yeah. There's a lot of good aquatic facilities. I of course, prone to the competitive pool is named the Doc Lucky Meisenheimer Natatorium. So I'm obviously going to promote that facility. It's absolutely wonderful. And we've got amazing swim programs, amazing lesson programs. Everything you could want in aquatics is there. But it's all private programs that rent space from the center. We've decided that's the best way to keep the center open. Is not to have center-sponsored programs, but to actually have programs come in. So there are a lot of good opportunities there. There's certainly great opportunities elsewhere in Orlando. Great swim clubs that have been here for decades.
Yeah. So you have this swim at your house every day. You're also, a surgeon. You also collected all these yo-yos and all. How do you manage? Do you have any bookends to your day habits that you follow to maintain your energy and your mindset and your different things that you'd want to share?
Well, I always get up at 5:30 in the morning because that's the best time for me to work out because that's my uninterrupted time, and that comes first. So I usually do a dry land and then swim. If it's winter months, I may swim in a swimming treadmill. Even though lake swim goes on year round, I don't like swimming in a wetsuit. When the temperature gets above 70, which we're right about there now, then I start swimming in the lake every morning, and that's consistent 6 days a week. And then at night, I basically work until about 9 o'clock. Now, when I say work, I mean I'm out of the office and I'm doing other projects.
Mm-hmm.
And at 9, then I usually sit down and watch TV with my wife for an hour and a half, and that's pretty much our routine. So.
That's very relatable. I watch some TV at night. Some people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't watch TV at night," and I'm like, I'm all about like balance and.
Yeah. It's okay to watch. There's sometimes I wish I could be working on my projects, but it is time to sit with the wife and both see the same shows. So we have still stuff to talk about. We talk about our kids and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you talked about your morning and your night, and then do you have any other hobbies or interests outside of those things, or anything you're working on for this year?
Well, as you mentioned, I have the world's largest yo-yo collection, so I'm actually the director of the National Yo-Yo Hall of Fame. I have a monthly show on YouTube called Doc Lucky's Yo-Yo Talk, where I talk about the history and collecting of yo-yos. I'm real involved with the sponsor level of many of the competitions that go on, and kind of a shaker in the mover behind the scenes in the yo-yo competitive community. There's a event called Doc Lucky's Duos that has kind of been named after me. So real involved with that. I wrote the book on yo-yo collecting, which I might add is in the Smithsonian.
Nice.
And so right now I'm working on another book on collecting string packs and patches, of which maybe 20 people in the world will read. But it's fun for me. So I'm working on that, working on a documentary, which I've been kind of slowly working on for Special Olympics for the last 2 or 3 years. It's just been slow going. And occasionally I'll do film work. I've had a couple of short films in the film festival circuit and picked up a few little minor awards and things like that. So I'm always doing stuff. So there's never a dull moment.
That's so interesting. And how did you get your nickname?
College swim team nickname from my freshman year, and it just kind of stuck. And over the years, my son is John Meisenheimer the seventh, so it does help. Yeah, it does help with differentiating his grandfather, myself, and him at one time when we were all Johns. It makes it much easier, even though I'd gone by, he never heard me called anything, but he knew I was John Meisenheimer, but he never heard me call anything but Lucky. My wife has only known me as Lucky. But like if I go to a high school reunion, everybody's calling me John, and it's kind of like, they'll say, "Oh, how long you been married to John?" And they go, "Oh, you mean Lucky? Yeah, okay, I get you." So there can be a little confusion. It's still in my practice. It's John Meisenheimer, because when I opened my practice almost 40 years ago, I wasn't sure if people were going to go to a doctor named Lucky or not. So I just went by Lucky outside of the practice, but so I answer to both names.
But probably over time you realize, no matter, as long as you're good at what you do and you treat people good, it doesn't matter all those other things. So
well, I always tell patients I'd rather be lucky than good. So
that's true too.
Which sometimes comes in real handy when you're doing surgery. So.
Well, this has been really awesome. I'm glad we got to connect, and I'm sure that we'll have the opportunity to meet each other soon. As I told you,
hopefully doing the lake swim. You keep saying
I am on your bucket list. I tried actually swimming, and I did like only a couple hundred yards the other day, but my foot is killing me. So I fell down my stairs like 3 months ago. After I told you I was going to get into swimming. Yeah, I fell down the stairs. So.
Not good for most activities.
So yes. I tore 3 ligaments and went through physical therapy and everything, but then I'm still have something. So I'm seeing Dr. Mason next week. And
okay. Well, water walking is great.
The walking doesn't cause any pain whatsoever. Yeah.
Water walking. I tell people that have hip surgery, all these things, get in the water. We have literally a pool you can walk in that's really well heated at the aquatic center, and just get in and walk. It really strengthens those muscles up, so the recovery is so much faster.
And I have no excuse. I have an 84-degree pool. Like,
Oh, well.
a 1.5 minute walk from my house, an
Yeah.
Olympic,
You
25-yard
need to
pool.
be
I have
close.
no excuse whatsoever. So
Yeah. Well, it's just time.
yeah,
It's,
yes,
you just got to
yes.
put it in your schedule.
No, I think so. And it's something I want to get my kids really proficient at and good at. But yeah, this has been a great conversation. I got a lot of your links that my show notes editor is going to put into the actual podcast. But what is the best way for folks to get a hold of you usually?
Well, if they want to find out, there's an email link usually on most of my websites. They can just email me. Or if they have a question, if they have a burning question about the lake swim, they can always just call my office. And, I'm usually in surgery, but they'll give me the number and I'll call them back. So, pretty easy to talk to and reach. Love to talk about the lake swim, and everybody's welcome as long as you can swim a kilometer.
Don't try to learn the 1 kilometer. And that's how it's like 40 laps.
Yeah, that's about 40 laps of a 25-yard pool. So you've got to be a skilled swimmer to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And I usually recommend coming on Saturdays because it's daylight. If you're swimming right now, at 6:30 in the morning, it's in the dark. And that's not sometimes the best way to get your first open water experience, unless you're a really skilled swimmer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Even skilled swimmers can freak out.
In the dark.
Most open water swimmers are fine, but if you've only been a pool swimmer, swimming in the dark and in open water sometimes is a little bit freaky for the first time.
I did a lot of water skiing and water sports when I was younger.
Yeah, well, that'll make you comfortable in the lake.
Yeah, cool. Let's stay connected, and this has been great. And so,
well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I want to tell everybody, thank you for listening to the Performance Mindset Show. In this episode today, we hope you gave you something to think about. Share it, subscribe it, and don't miss it. And again, be sure to grab my book, From Perfect to Real. It's about dropping perfection and thriving your own way. So you can connect with me on beyondcommercial.com or amycalandrino.com. Until then, stay grounded, keep growing, and keep showing up for you.